What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and I am here tonight with a review for American Horror Story. This is 1984, Season 9, episode number, I think this is 5, you guys, and it's titled Red Dawn. So, you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right into the video. Alright, so the episode, it started in 1980, so we see Donna, and we see her, she's, looking at this guy who's with this woman, and I'm thinking like, oh, so her boyfriend is cheating on her. So then, she breaks into the place where the guy was with the woman, and we find out that it's actually her dad, and her mom had sent her to find him. I'm like, so your mama sent you to find your daddy? Okay. So then, she knocks on her room. She says, you come, like, mama gonna be mad or something like that. And she opens the door, and there's a woman, shackled to the bed with her intestines hanging out. And I'm just like, you're not gonna call the cops? Like, the woman, oh, and I'm not, what, 1980, but like, you ain't gonna get, you're not gonna go try to find the phone in this place and try to call for help. So then a woman does come to, and I'm like, wait a minute. How did this helper come to with her intestines hanging out of her? Her intestines. So then her daddy comes out, and he was like, this is a side of me that he didn't want her to see, and that he was born this way. I'm like, nah, I think he just literally just go crazy. Like, and she's like, I'm a psychologist. I can help you, Daddy. He was like, nope, you can't help me. And he goes and takes a knife, and he stabs himself in the back and kills himself. I'm like, well, damn. Wow, he killed himself. Okay, like, I didn't see that coming. I mean, a man just literally just stabbed the shit out of himself. Poor Donna. Because that was crazy. So then we flash forward to the future. So we see when the Night Stalker, when the devil brought the Night Stalker back, I'm like, oh my God, what is it with Satan? And he was telling her that he saw the night that, Satan showed him the night that her dad killed himself. And then he tells her that, you trying to say that you ain't evil. You're trying to say that you can give medication and things to get, to kind of ward off evil, but you can't. He says, you have a little bit of evil in you because you're the one who released Jingles. And Jingles wasn't even the original, wasn't even the actual killer. But, he's killed all these people tonight, and that is on you. So you have some evil in you. And then she turns around and her dad is there. And he's like, yep, you are a product of your of your dad. I'm like, well, why are there so many dead people walking around? Like, this makes me feel like Roanoke, back what season was it, Roanoke? Whatever season it was. When those people who were dead and weren't actually dead, they were just walking on that property. This gives me Roanoke vibes, the fact that, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit more later in the review, but we're going to keep it moving. All right, so next, we see Xavier. We see Montana, we see Brooke, we see Chet, and we see Margaret. So they're, still at, they're by this burning car. What Xavier wants to do is take it and burn everything around them, so that way, someone can at least see that they need help with the smoke signal. So Margaret, she has the gun, and she pops his ass with it, knocks him out. So then, they like, let's get him back to the cabin. So in the cabin, Brooke is trying to say that, hey, when it comes down to us, I think we should stick together because we're better in numbers. And then it's almost dawn, so we'll be fine. Someone will eventually come. And then, Margaret says, oh, you know what, I forgot to mention to you guys. I did see some campers across the lake. So I think some of us should go over there and, try to find the campers. So they split up. So it's going to be, Brooke and Montana in the cabin with Xavier. And Chet and Margaret are going to go try to find the two campers. So once they do leave, Brooke is like, don't you find it odd that she didn't even tell us nothing about these campers? But she's telling us about them now. Exactly. Because the bitch is a lunatic. The bitch is a complete lunatic. So then we see Montana. So Montana was about to knock the hell out of Brooke with the axe. And, not Montana, but Brooke notices, hey, there's Ray. She's screaming for Ray. She's like, you know what, I'm going to try to stop Ray. So then she finds Ray. And then, Ray can't remember anything about what happened. Really and truly what it is Ray can't remember anything that happened before he died. And so we see, Margaret and Chet, or they're in the dark water, and I'm like, really, Chet? Like, she said she saw lights, but it's dark in this water. You ain't caught on to nothing. But okay. So, she asked him, has he thought about death? He was like, yeah, I thought about death. Like how, the maggots eat your flesh and it's just dark. And she's like, well, if you knew God, then you could come talk to him and confess to him, whatever you have to confess. He was like, I don't have nothing to confess. He says, do you? And then her crazy ass, like, yeah, there is something she needs to confess. And so she starts to cut his ear. And I'm like, yeah, Check could have at least kicked Margaret. I know his arm is, I know, this shoulder ain't nothing, but you could have at least kicked the bitch. So, but he did fight her for a little bit, but then she put an anchor around his leg. I'm like, really, Chet, you're gonna sit here and let her put this anchor around your leg? So, then she hits him with the oar. I'm like, oh my God. And then, she throws the anchor over and he goes in there. He's still trying to fight with her. And she cuts the rest of that ear off and she lets him go. I'm like, huh. And I'm like, okay. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, so then we see Brooke. She does catch up to Ray, and they overheard they overheard Jingle's keys, so they took off running in, and then we see them hiding. So Brooke wants to stay put because again it's almost daylight, and Chet and Margaret are gonna go try to find two other campers and try to get them some help. So Ray tells her he won't let anything happen to her. I'm like, you won't let anything happen to her. The same person who left Montana to die at the hands of the Night Stalker. Well, you didn't know she wasn't gonna die, but right, Ray. So then, she starts to tell, Xavier, not Xavier, but Ray, a story about her ex, how, she was the smartest person in the school. She was number one, but then there was a boy that was number two. And he started, making the kids alienate themselves from her. So then when it came down to it, she started acting dumb. And, he wanted to take her out one day. She said yes. Then he asked her to marry him, and she says yes. So this was her fiance. And she said she never was sure if she was really in love with him. And then Ray tells his story about how he was in school to be a doctor, and how he did so much stuff that it cost him his future. So so then we see them and they start kissing each other, and I'm like, oh, you are definitely going to die, Brooke, because like Randy said, stay virgins, because if you're a virgin, they don't kill the virgins. And I'm like, you really should have stayed a virgin. Really should have stayed a virgin because you're dead. So then we see Donna. She shows up to where Xavier and Montana are. And she's admitting, everything, that she's the one that let Jingles out. And Xavier's like, we also saw Xavier. He was having a pity party about his face. I'm like, it ain't that deep. I mean, I know you were burned alive, but at least you're alive. That's the best thing, is that you're alive. So then he was like, so you're the reason that I look like this? The fact that I'm never going to be on the cover of TV Guide? I'm like, TV Guide? Man. That used to be the thing, to be on the cover of TV Guide. Because that's the first thing that you would see when you go to the self-check. Not self-checkout, but that would be one of the first things you see in the checkout line is TV Guide, along with those cheesy gossip magazines. Like, wow. I've actually kind of aged myself. So then, he takes that axe from Montana and he starts chasing Rita. I'm like, huh. That was funny as shit. He started chasing her with that fucking axe. Alright, you guys, and like I said, Brooke, you're dead. Because you gave up your virginity to whatever the fuck that was. So we see her, she goes to the refrigerator. When she goes to the refrigerator, she screams, and I'm like, what the fuck is she screaming about? Well, she's screaming because she saw, Ray's decapitated head. And she's like, he comes and he's like, what's going on? She's like, that. He's like, is that my head? She says, yes. He was trying to talk to her. He's like, no, stay the hell away from me. So she takes off running. I'm like, but you've already slept with whatever the fuck that thing is. and you're gonna run from it, right? So then she runs into Montana. She's like, "Are you dead? Are you dead?" And Montana tells her, "Well, I don't think I'm dead, but I mean, again, I don't think I'm dead." And then we see Montana. She just turns around and bitch slap the hell out of her ass. So then we go 20 minutes till sunrise. So we see her and Montana. They going back and forth with each other. And they hauling off on each other, beating the shit out of each other. And that's when Montana tells Brooke that she found the Night Stalker outside of the where she was teaching, and then she saw Brooke, and she sent him after Brooke, and she tells her that she sent her after her because her psycho ex-fiance killed her brother, and like I said, they hauling off on each other and beating the shit out of each other. So then we see Donna. Donna is hiding from Xavier, who is still running through the woods with that axe in his hand. So then Jingles finds her and he tells her, "You should not have brought me here." She says, "I know." All she wanted to do was just to be able to understand her dad. And, she questions if he loved her. And, Jingles tells her that, "I didn't kill anybody. It was that crazy broad Margaret that killed everybody." He said, outside of the war, he never killed anybody until tonight. And she's like, "Well, why don't you kill me?" He just told you he ain't never killed nobody. He literally just told you he ain't killed nobody. He says, "But you know what you gotta do? You gotta live with the fact that you released me. I killed all these people, and we're here." Well, that's what now. Like, if Jingles wasn't a killer, then why would you? Okay. I just answered my own question. He didn't know he wasn't a killer until this moment that Margaret's psycho ass told him he wasn't a killer. But damn, I know this guy be eating at him like, "Damn, I killed all these people, and I'm not even a fucking killer. The fuck? Like, I want him to kill Margaret." So Brooke and Montana, like I said, they still having this knockdown, drag out fight, and we see Jingles. He finds Margaret, and then he's trying to kill Margaret, but then these arrows just keep coming from, pew, 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 pew. And it's Xavier shooting him. I guess Xavier took archery in school, so Xavier, he keeps hitting him, and looks like Jingles is dying. I'm like, "Ah, shit, you shot the wrong person," but he doesn't know that. But I'm like, "Damn, you shot the wrong person." So then we see those, Xavier was talking to Margaret, and Margaret, she gets on, he asked her, was she okay? He was over her, leaning over her, and she flips him, takes a knife, stabs him, and goes down. And I'm like, "Well, you're dead. You didn't even know it." So then we also do see that the Night Stalkers is over there in the lurks where Jingles is dead at. He's like, "Are you gonna accept the devil as your master?" I would have said, "No. Let me die. Let me the fuck die." So then we get the sun. So the sun is rising and the kids are on their way to Camp Redwood. So we see Brooke and Montana. They are still fighting each other. And then, at one point Montana was on top of Brooke. Then Brooke got on top of Montana, and she stabbed her once and killed her, but she kept repeatedly stabbing the shit out of her. And then, we see the kids, they show up to the camp, and they see her covered in blood and stabbing Montana, and they just start screaming. So then we see that the cops have arrived. They taken all the dead bodies, and they've arrested Brooke. Like, come on. Do y'all not see that this girl has blood all over her? Her blood. She's been stabbed. Like, y'all really think that this girl, like, y'all don't think maybe it was self-defense? I mean, come on. Like, we all know that there was I don't know what is up with these cops in this town, but damn. But that shit was funny to me. So then we last see, we also saw Margaret. So Margaret, self-inflicted wound, like what, Emma Roberts' character did in Scream 4. Like when she was trying to pretend like she was, attacked by the ghost face. You know how she fucked her whole self. She stabbed herself. She threw herself into the wall and everything. Well, Margaret takes the knife that she had in her hand and she stabs herself in the leg, and she says that that they asked her, did she know Brooke? She says yes, that's one of my counselors. She went crazy on all of us and she started killing people. But here's my thing: like the cops haven't figured this out. Like this is the second time that there's been an attack at this camp, and supposedly Margaret survived the first time, and she survived this time. Like, come on, that is a really that's got to be a strange coincidence that she survived the attack once and she survived it again. Yeah, like y'all haven't figured out that the bitch is she knows what she's doing. So then we last see Ray. So Ray is walking and the medic notices him, and she's like, can I help? Let me get you some help. So she tries to take his blood pressure, and when she's pumping it, the needle is still at 0. That's because he ain't got no blood. He ain't got no blood. He ain't got no pulse. And I'm like, wait a minute. And that's what I was confused by. Like, I know she was sitting there checking his pulse because you could see her. She had her fingers checking the pulse, and I'm like, you don't feel that there's no blood there? Like, sorry, y'all, I was checking my pulse. And how do you feel that? Like, is it like, I know here you can feel it. Okay, never mind. I'm very much alive. But, like I said, he ain't had no pulse. So then, she's like, what, we need to get you to the hospital. So they try to get him to the hospital, and, once the ambulance leaves, he's still in the camp. So I'm like, okay, this, like I said before, this gives me Roanoke vibes. Because if you guys remember with Roanoke, the people were dead, but they couldn't leave that house. They couldn't leave that house or that land. So it just gives me Roanoke vibes. And then, we see the cop. Somebody takes off in his car. And then we see Montana. She comes up. She kills him. I'm like, well, damn. He's stuck there with y'all too, huh? So then we see who's in the car. So in the car, it's the Night Stalker, and it is Jingles. And they're heading toward L.A. I'm like, okay, so what's going to happen in L.A.? I hope they go after Margaret. I really do. But you guys, that was the episode. So be sure to like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button, share the video, and I will see you guys later.